Hello, welcome to another Genoa Kingston beginning band video. Today we're going to learn to assemble the flute and play our first couple of notes on the flute. To introduce you to the parts of the flute, we have the head joint, which contains no keys, but the embouchure plate and the aperture hole. We have the body of the flute, which contains most of the keys. And we have the foot joint, which is the shortest of the three parts. It has a few keys on it. The first thing I would like to do is discuss getting a good sound on the flute. In order to get a good sound on the flute, we're going to form a hole in our lips like this. You're going to blow out and down just slightly, kind of out like this. When I put the flute below my lip and I blow, it's very possible I'm going to get a lot of condensation around here. If I can focus that condensation so it forms a slight V, a little closer, as you can see, it's getting closer. What I want is a V of condensation from here down to here. Mine's a little wider, and your students will have varying degrees of success getting that little V. The key is getting a good sound. I want to hold the aperture hole right on the edge where the lip and the skin of the face meet. The lip ends and the skin of the face meet. I like to do that by placing that point right on and kind of rolling out like this. Simply then take a breath of air and blow. If you put your hand over the flute, you get a different note on the flute. Your students should be able to get notes on both. Notice that I have the longer section of the flute to my right. That's because the student will have it to their right when they play. To put the instrument together, first thing I'm going to do is take my finger, get a little natural oil from my face, and I'm going to put it on the unfinished portion of the head joint. That just helps give me a little bit of lubrication when we put the head joint into the body of the flute. I then hold the body, and holding the pieces close together, slowly twist and push in. When you've gotten the flute in the proper alignment, you will notice that the aperture hole will line up with these keys. If there's a logo right here, it'll usually line up with that also. You'll also notice that the head joint of the flute is out about 1/4 inch. It's not all the way in. I've brought it out about 1/4 inch. There's still a little portion of unfinished metal there. And that's about where they need to have it for it to play in tune. Going to my nose again for a little more natural oil. I'm going to put a little bit on the lower tenon, and I'm going to push the body and the foot joint together. Again, I'm going to slowly push and twist. This time, I'll know it's aligned when the post of the foot joint is aligned right in the center of the key on the body of the flute. That way I know the instrument is in alignment. To play the flute, I'm going to hold the instrument with my left hand facing me, my right hand facing away. Ultimately, this is how I will be. Ready to play. The note that I just blew is the B flat. Now, I'm going to show you where to put your fingers. I'm going to get a little closer to do this. My right thumb is going to sit as so. I'm going to put my right pinky on what we call the E flat key. There'll be a reference to that in your book. My ring finger, middle finger, and first finger will move to those 3 keys. Those are the keys that we're going to use with the right hand. Moving to the left hand, my thumb will be poised below this key. Then my fingers will skip the first little key. We'll put my first finger here. Skip this key. My second finger will go here. My third finger will go here. And my pinky will hover over the A flat key. So I'm going to turn around. This is the position your finger should be in. When I hold the flute, I'm going to hold it under my mouth in the position that I had the head joint. I will then use this portion of my hand against the flute to provide a little counterbalance, holding the instrument up to my face. None of the other fingers are necessary to hold the flute. In fact, I need to be able to hold it without it so that I can make the fingering switches. Even though you're not pressing any of the keys, your student needs to be able to keep their finger above the key so that they can just drop it down when it's time to use it. For instance, the first three notes we're going to play are the D, the C, and the B flat. The first note is the B flat. I will employ the thumb on the left hand, the first finger on the left hand, as well as the first finger on the right hand and the pinky of the right hand. To play the C, I'm going to use the first finger on the left hand and the pinky on the right hand. And for the D, I'm going to use the thumb on the left hand, the second and third fingers of the left hand, and the first, second, and third fingers of the right hand. Okay? The three notes they're going to work on starting next week are D, C, and B flat. First the D, the C, and the B flat. If you'll notice, all the fingers that are down for the D are up for the C, and all the fingers that are down for the C are up for the D. They work in opposite of one another. This may take your student a while to get, and that's why we teach it right away, so they can practice that. The D, C, B flat. Those are the first three notes on the flute. After you've assembled your flute and you've played your flute for the day, you disassemble the flute just like you put it together. It might be a good idea to wipe down the flute with a soft cloth or a polishing cloth that was included in your care kit. That way it takes the natural oils from your fingers off of the finish of the flute, and it'll help protect that finish and make it last longer. You then put the instrument back in the case and shut the case. Next time we have a lesson, we'll talk about blowing the first three notes.